Alabama is once again Atlanta bound. They clinched the SEC West with a big-time dub over Kentucky. Final score, Alabama 49, Kentucky 21. Don't look now, but Jalen Milroe making a little bit of history. 3 touchdowns passing and rushing. Are you kidding me? This is not the same Bama team that we saw week 2 against Texas. How many times have you heard us say that? But now it feels like that is starting to become very, very obvious for the rest of the country. Alabama, they're alive, Frankenstein style, in the most real way. We'll unpack this game right now, but first things first, Alabama fans, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Had a ton of y'all join us in the last couple of weeks as y'all have been on a tear. We'd love to have y'all a part of this as we move forward. We're pushing towards 200,000 subs as Nick Saban is pushing towards yet another national title. Want y'all dialed in. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel. We appreciate y'all so much in advance for that. So they clinched the West. They look good doing it. We talked about the potential sleepy spot this was, a noon kick. You got to go to Lexington, maybe a little LSU hangover. But what I saw yesterday offensively for Alabama was a team that was demanding more respect because of what they did against LSU. Like, people saw Jalen Milroe be definitive and slice and dice and just make LSU look foolish running the football. And by nature of how he played against LSU, by nature of what he put on tape in that resume, you forced Kentucky to play him very, very differently. All 3 of Jalen Milroe's touchdown passes came from a result of being threatened, was the Kentucky defense, by what he could do with his legs. When he broke contain, he put defenders in conflict, and they had to peel off their receiver. Bada bing, bada boom, Jalen Milroe delivered the mail like UPS, and we're in good shape. We're scoring touchdowns. Also, we got to have a little spy defender for Jalen Milroe. We're worried about him taking off and making us look foolish and doing what he does, chop it up like hibachi. Whenever you spy and you got to bring that defender up a little bit, what does that potentially leave? Middle of the field open. We saw him take advantage of that as well. And Jalen Milroe, the thing too was when he got dinged up a little bit, it looked like a little dead leg, if you will, trying to keep that thing loose. But it was obvious, like, he wasn't necessarily at max efficiency being able to run the football after taking that hit. And so my question was, okay, well, kind of took away one of the better parts of his game. I don't want to say take away, but maybe minimize one of the better parts of his game. How would he respond? Y'all, he was dialed in. 15 of 22, 234 yards, those 3 touchdowns. Had the 1 bad interception. Kind of is what it is. I don't think you read too much into it. But it wasn't like he lit him up running the football. It was what he had put on tape already that demanded that kind of respect in space. 8 carries, 36 yards. I understand he had 3 rushing touchdowns, but, I mean, a couple of those came on quarterback sneaks. So now that they have put that on tape, going back to what I said, it changes the way that teams have to play them. And as a whole, like, the big picture here is this is Alabama offensively, I think, becoming more multiple. And when you become more multiple, it makes you more dangerous with who you can play because you can play in different styles. With Jalen Milroe being able to throw the football now and have a little bit more of a threat with him running the football and teams playing him differently, well, now you can't just key on the run game. Now you have to defend the pass based on what he did against Kentucky. If you want to play the way they did against LSU, or we're just going to try and keep it all, in front of us, well, then he will make you pay. So it really puts defenses in conflict, and I think it could be Alabama's sort of ace up the sleeve. It prevents them from being one-dimensional, and it keeps defenses in a bind. Now, defensively, like, to put it simply, that front 7 is still nasty. Like, Georgia in the SEC title game is going to be a really good battle. But that secondary is what stood out to me yesterday. They are becoming, in my mind, more and more of a Saban brand of secondary. Like, Kentucky, they had some guys that could have hurt them. They had some guys that could have done some damage. Tavian Robinson, Berrien Brown. They held Devin Leary to 158 yards passing. I understand Devin Leary's had his troubles, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Kentucky, they had some talent here that could have pushed Alabama. Alabama rose to the occasion, very comfortable playing man-to-man, played very honest. And whenever you have to play honest against Alabama, meaning you're not able to be super tricky and not able to put pressure on them in different ways, like they can just play how they want to play in that front 7 and play man on the back end and feel fine doing it, that then becomes a game of personnel. Meaning, do you like your guys better than our guys? Because we like our guys a whole lot here at Alabama. Every single individual that is on that team that signed out of high school was a part of an either number 1 or number 2 ranked recruiting class in the entire country. Translation, we got some dudes. The cupboard's stocked. So if it becomes a game of personnel, we like our guys. We feel like we're top 2 and we're not 2 against pretty much everybody else in the country. So we keep saying this now. This is a new Bama. But what I saw yesterday was a new Bama look with an old Bama feel to it. Because coming in, we questioned LSU hangover. This team's handling success. How is that going to look? Again, noon kick. Kentucky, they're one of those what I call cockroach teams. And I say that in the most endearing way possible. Doesn't matter the score. They're not going to die. Doesn't matter how many times you try and beat them down. They're not going to die. You put Iowa in that category. You put Kansas State in that category. You put Utah in that category. I put Kentucky in that category. That's a tough deal. That's a tough draw after you just went and had the win of your season over LSU. How is that going to look? Noon kick, again, on the road. 28-7.5. Started fast. No hangover. Okay, great. Well, now that you're up on them, how do you look in the second half? I saw a killer instinct from this Bama team. Finished. Didn't take their foot off the gas. It doesn't guarantee a national title if you have that killer instinct. But we'll say this now. You can't win a national title without one. I've never seen a Nick Saban coach team win a national title without that killer instinct, and we saw that yesterday. That's encouraging. I think they're continuing to grow into themselves, which is scary for the rest of college football. Because I don't think they see themselves as that Alabama that's gotten all the trophies under Nick Saban. They've seen it. They understand the brand. They understand what Saban's done. But they're trying to create their own legacy. I think after that first couple of weeks of the season, after the Texas game, after the USF game, they very quickly felt like it was them versus the world. Jalen Milroe talked about adversity in his post-game press conference yesterday, or his post-game interview yesterday. How many times have we heard Bama talk about adversity? How many times have we seen them really have adversity at this point in the year? As Jalen Milroe becomes more dynamic, I think he's going to kind of grow into a takeover kind of player. And the thing that's scary is if he has that takeover gene and hasn't yet found it, that means it's still out there. And Bama's biggest games of the season are also still out there. So if he's going to get even better, and this secondary gets better, and this defense gets better, and they continue to trend upward, because I think that's what they're hungry for, I'm just saying, if you wrote off Bama, they're not writing back. So, handling business, headed to the SEC title yet again. Is this Nick Saban coach Bama team? Clinched the West yesterday with a win over Kentucky. We're going to talk about the SEC title game here in just a little bit on this channel, so make sure you're dialed in, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at JD Piquel. Let me know your thoughts on there, what you thought of yesterday's game from your Crimson Tide. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.